The mysteries of the Ethiopian Bible and the Book of Enoch were banned. Deep in the highlands of Ethiopia, a treasure exists, untouched, uncolonized, and unshaken by the sweeping currents of time. The Ethiopian Bible, shrouded in mystery and adorned with secrets, has been preserved as a testament to a spiritual heritage older and richer than most of the Western world dares to imagine. With its 88 books, 22 more than the Standard Bible, it boldly holds truths that have been hidden, banned, or forgotten. For an American audience steeped in the cultural dominance of the King James Bible, this ancient text feels like a ghostly echo of a history that was intentionally buried. Why was the Ethiopian Bible, with its profound insights and revelatory apocryphal texts like the Book of Enoch, pushed aside? What does it reveal about humanity, sin, redemption, and the divine? The answers may challenge the very foundations of what we think we know. If you're intrigued by these hidden dimensions of history and faith, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more thought-provoking explorations. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice is essential to this ongoing conversation. 1. A Bible older than the West itself. Ethiopia stands as a profound anomaly in world history, embodying resilience, faith, and an unbroken cultural tradition that dates back millennia. This African nation, uniquely uncolonized by external powers, has preserved an unparalleled spiritual and historical legacy. At the heart of this legacy lies the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, whose biblical canon diverges significantly from the 66 books of the Protestant King James Bible, encompassing 88 books in total. These additional texts include the Book of Enoch, the Book of Jubilees, and a wealth of other writings that Western Christianity either dismissed or actively suppressed. This divergence is not merely a theological footnote. It is a stark reminder that what is often referred to as the Bible in the West is far from universal or immutable. The Ethiopian Bible offers a window into a more ancient and perhaps less politically influenced scriptural tradition, challenging assumptions about the formation and authority of the biblical canon. Christianity's roots in Ethiopia stretch back to the 4th century, predating the Christianization of most of Europe. While Roman emperors such as Diocletian were persecuting Christians and burning scriptures, Ethiopian rulers embraced the new faith with fervor. According to tradition, Christianity was introduced to Ethiopia through Frumentius, a Syrian missionary who became the first bishop of Aksum under King Ezana. By the time Emperor Constantine declared Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire in 313 CE, Ethiopia had already adopted the faith as a cornerstone of its identity. Unlike the Latin and Greek-speaking regions of the Roman world, where theological debates often raged in elite circles, Ethiopian Christianity was grounded in accessibility. Holy texts were translated into Ge'ez, an ancient Semitic language that became the liturgical language of the Ethiopian Church. This early translation effort ensured that Scripture was not confined to a clerical elite but could be understood by the broader population. In contrast, Western Europe would not see a similar democratization of Scripture until the Protestant Reformation in the 16th century, when Martin Luther championed the translation of the Bible into vernacular languages. Ethiopia's geographical and cultural isolation played a crucial role in preserving its unique biblical canon. While European Christianity underwent radical transformations through events such as the Council of Nicaea, 325 CE, the Council of Constantinople, 381 CE, and later the Protestant Reformation, the Ethiopian Church remained insulated from these shifts. As a result, it retained texts that were excluded from the Western canon, offering a glimpse into a more expansive and unaltered scriptural tradition. To understand the significance of Ethiopia's biblical canon, one must examine how the Western Bible came to be. The process of canonization, the determination of which books would be considered scripture and which would be excluded, was far from a purely spiritual endeavor. It was deeply entangled with politics, power, and theological conflict. The Council of Nicaea, convened by Emperor Constantine in 325 CE, is often remembered for addressing the nature of Christ's divinity. However, it also set the stage for defining orthodoxy, including which texts would support the emerging theological consensus. Over the next several centuries, various councils and influential church leaders made decisions about the canon. Books that were deemed heretical, apocryphal, or simply inconvenient to the dominant theological narrative were excluded. By the time of the Council of Carthage, in 397 CE, the 27 books of the New Testament had been formally recognized, aligning closely with the canon used in most Western churches today. This process of exclusion was not without its casualties. Texts like the Book of Enoch, the Book of Jubilees, and the Shepherd of Hermas, once widely read by early Christians, were gradually marginalized. These books often contained esoteric teachings, apocalyptic visions, and theological perspectives that did not fit neatly into the Roman Church's vision of orthodoxy. In contrast, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church did not participate in these councils and was unaffected by the theological and political debates that shaped the Western canon. This independence allowed Ethiopia to preserve a broader and, arguably, more authentic collection of biblical texts. The inclusion of the Book of Enoch, in particular, underscores the unique spiritual perspective of Ethiopian Christianity. Among the texts excluded from the Western Bible, the Book of Enoch stands out for its profound theological and historical significance. This ancient Jewish text, written between the 3rd and 2nd centuries BCE, offers a vivid and often unsettling glimpse into the spiritual realities underlying human history. Its narrative revolves around the Watchers, a group of angels who descended to earth, mated with human women, and fathered the Nephilim, a race of giants mentioned briefly in Genesis 6:1-4. The Watchers also introduced forbidden knowledge, teaching humanity practices such as alchemy, weapon-making, and astrology, which led to widespread corruption. The Book of Enoch's cosmic scope and apocalyptic tone made it a highly influential text in early Jewish and Christian thought. It was widely read in the centuries leading up to and following the time of Christ, and its themes are echoed in the New Testament. For example, Jude 1:14-15 directly quotes Enoch, referring to his prophecy of divine judgment. Despite this, the book was excluded from the Western canon, likely due to its speculative nature and the theological challenges it posed. Western church authorities deemed the Book of Enoch too fantastical and potentially dangerous. Its vivid descriptions of celestial beings, divine judgment, and humanity's rebellion against God painted a picture of spiritual warfare that was both unsettling and convicting. Some scholars argue that its exclusion was also a political decision. By suppressing texts like Enoch, church leaders could maintain a more controlled and uniform theological narrative. In Ethiopia, however, the Book of Enoch was never marginalized. It remains a central part of the Ethiopian biblical canon, revered for its insights into divine mysteries and the cosmic struggle between good and evil. For Ethiopian Christians, Enoch is not merely an apocalyptic curiosity, but a profound revelation of spiritual truths. It underscores the reality of sin, the consequences of rebellion against divine order, and the hope of redemption through God's ultimate judgment. The Book of Enoch also resonates deeply with Ethiopian culture, which places a strong emphasis on the spiritual dimensions of life. The idea that humanity is caught in a cosmic battle between light and darkness aligns with the Ethiopian Church's theology, which often intertwines the physical and spiritual realms. By preserving Enoch, Ethiopia offers the world a reminder of the richness and diversity of early Christian thought. For many in the West, the Bible is perceived as a closed and immutable text, the product of divine inspiration and providence. The Ethiopian Bible challenges this perception, revealing a broader and more complex scriptural tradition. It invites modern readers to question the processes, both human and divine, that shape the Bible as we know it today. Ethiopia's preservation of texts like the Book of Enoch is not just an academic curiosity. It is a testament to the enduring power of faith and cultural resilience. It underscores the fact that the Bible is not a monolith, but a collection of writings that have been shaped by history, politics, and theology. For those willing to engage with this broader canon, the Ethiopian Bible offers a richer and more nuanced understanding of God's revelation. In a world increasingly divided along cultural and religious lines, the Ethiopian Bible serves as a bridge between traditions. It reminds us that Christianity is not the exclusive inheritance of the West, but a global faith with diverse expressions and histories. By embracing this diversity, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the complexities of Scripture and the universality of its message. 2. The Forgotten African Legacy of the Bible. In the shadow of colonialism, much of Africa's profound historical and cultural contributions have been deliberately erased or overshadowed. For centuries, the Western narrative portrayed Africa as a continent without history, its people dismissed as uncivilized and outside the arc of human progress. This distorted view ignored Africa's rich civilizations, intellectual traditions, and spiritual legacies that shaped not only their continent, but the world. Among these legacies, Ethiopia's Christian tradition stands as one of the most compelling rebuttals to this erasure, serving as a testament to the centrality of Africa in biblical history and the story of Christianity itself. The story of Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch in the New Testament, recounted in Acts 8:26-40, provides one of the earliest and most powerful accounts of Christianity's expansion beyond Jewish communities. The Ethiopian official, a high-ranking servant of the Candace, Queen of Ethiopia, encounters Philip as he reads from the prophet Isaiah. In this brief but transformative meeting, the Ethiopian eunuch is baptized, marking the spread of the gospel into Africa, a region that would become a vital custodian of Christian thought and tradition. This moment in Scripture carries profound symbolic weight. The Ethiopian eunuch's engagement with Isaiah exemplifies how Scripture transcends cultural and geographical boundaries. His immediate embrace of Christianity signifies the faith's universal appeal and underscores Africa's pivotal role in its early history. While Western Christianity often marginalizes this connection, Ethiopia's unique biblical tradition reaffirms the centrality of Africa in the spiritual narrative of humanity. The Ethiopian Bible stands as a monument to Africa's deep-rooted spiritual legacy. Unlike the 66-book canon of the King James Bible, the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church preserves a richer canon of 88 books, including texts that illuminate Africa's historical and theological significance. Yet, Ethiopia's prominence in biblical history extends far beyond its unique scriptures. The Bible frequently mentions Ethiopia, often referred to as Cush, alongside other African regions and peoples. These references underscore Africa's integral role in the biblical narrative. In Genesis 10, for example, the Bible traces the genealogies of Noah's sons, including Ham, whose descendants settled in regions associated with Africa and the Middle East. Cush, one of Ham's sons, is identified as the progenitor of the Ethiopian people, linking Africa directly to the biblical story of humanity's origins and dispersions. Ethiopia also features prominently in the story of the Queen of Sheba, 1 Kings 10, 2 Chronicles 9, who travels to meet King Solomon in Jerusalem. Her visit symbolizes a cultural and spiritual exchange between Africa and Israel as she seeks Solomon's wisdom and blesses him with gifts of gold, spices, and precious stones. Ethiopian tradition goes further, claiming that the queen bore Solomon a son, Menelik I, who became the first emperor of Ethiopia and is believed to have brought the Ark of the Covenant to Ethiopia, a claim central to Ethiopian identity. In several passages, the prophet Isaiah references Ethiopia as a land of great significance. In Isaiah 18:1-2, the nation is described as a place of strength and dignity, whose people will one day bring offerings to God. These passages present Ethiopia not as a peripheral land, but as a key player in God's plan of redemption. Despite these profound connections, Africa's biblical legacy has been obscured, particularly in the American Christian context. Narratives surrounding Ham's descendants, for instance, have been distorted. The so-called curse of Ham was misused to justify racism and slavery, marginalizing Africa's contributions to the story of salvation and leaving a gaping hole in the understanding of biblical history. The Ethiopian Bible, with its preserved genealogies and rich cultural context, offers a corrective by showcasing Africa's indispensable role in the biblical world and its spiritual significance. The Ethiopian Bible is more than a collection of sacred texts. It is a testament to the resilience and depth of African spirituality. By including books like the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees, the Ethiopian canon preserves theological perspectives and traditions that the Western Church excluded. These texts, rich in apocalyptic visions and cosmic struggles, illuminate humanity's shared ancestry and divine purpose. Unlike the King James Bible, which reflects the theological and political constraints of its time, the Ethiopian Bible presents a more expansive view of divine revelation. Its genealogical records are not merely historical, but deeply theological, emphasizing the interconnectedness of all humanity. These genealogies, combined with the broader canon, paint a picture of a world bound together by shared origins and a divine plan, a perspective with profound implications for understanding unity and diversity in the human family. In contrast to the Ethiopian Bible's inclusivity, the King James Bible reflects the narrower theological and political agendas of its time. Commissioned in the early 17th century by King James I of England, this translation sought to unify Christianity under the authority of the English crown. By standardizing the Bible for the English-speaking world, it became one of the most influential texts in history, shaping the religious and cultural landscape of the West. However, the creation of the King James Bible came at a cost. Its translators adhered to the 66-book canon established by earlier councils, excluding texts deemed apocryphal or unorthodox. The Book of Enoch, for instance, was rejected for its speculative and apocalyptic nature, despite its influence on early Jewish and Christian thought. Similarly, the Book of Jubilees, which expands on Genesis and Exodus, was excluded, as were other writings that offered alternative perspectives on sin, redemption, and divine judgment. The result was a Bible stripped of much of its complexity and mystery, tailored to align with the theological orthodoxy and political priorities of its time. While the King James Bible has undoubtedly shaped American Christianity, its omissions have limited the scope of Scripture as understood by its readers. In contrast, the Ethiopian Bible offers a broader and more nuanced view of the divine, acknowledging humanity's flaws and the cosmic dimensions of sin and redemption. The Ethiopian Bible challenges Western Christianity to reconsider its assumptions about the canon and Africa's role in the story of salvation. By preserving texts excluded by the West, Ethiopia offers a richer and more holistic view of Scripture, embracing the full depth and breadth of divine revelation. This perspective is especially valuable in a world that often seeks to divide rather than unite. For African Americans and others in the African diaspora, reclaiming this legacy is an act of spiritual and cultural empowerment. The Ethiopian Bible is not just a historical artifact, it is a living testament to Africa's central role in shaping the Christian faith. Its broader canon, enriched with genealogies and apocalyptic visions, reveals a humanity interconnected through shared ancestry and divine purpose, a vision that transcends the divisions imposed by colonialism and racism. In a time when Africa's contributions to world history are still often overlooked, Ethiopia's Christian tradition shines as a beacon of resilience, faith, and spiritual depth. By embracing this legacy, modern Christians can gain a deeper understanding of their faith and the diverse ways in which God has revealed Himself throughout history. 3. A battle for the soul of Christianity. The exclusion of certain texts from the Western biblical canon raises a profound and unsettling question. What are we missing? The absence of writings, such as the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees, not only limits our understanding of early Christian thought, but also narrows our perspective on sin, redemption, and divine intervention. These texts, preserved in the Ethiopian Orthodox Bible, offer insights that challenge the standardized narratives many Christians take for granted. By examining these works, we can uncover dimensions of faith that have long been hidden from view. The Book of Enoch stands out as one of the most provocative and illuminating texts omitted from the Western Bible. Written between the 3rd and 2nd centuries BCE, this apocalyptic work explores the origins of evil in a way that is both vivid and deeply unsettling. Unlike the more abstract explanations of sin found in the canonical books, Enoch presents evil as a tangible, corrupting force introduced by celestial beings, the Watchers. These angels, described in Genesis 6:1-4 as sons of God, descend to earth, driven by lust for human women. Their union produces the Nephilim, a race of giants who wreak havoc on creation. The Watchers also impart forbidden knowledge to humanity, teaching skills such as alchemy, astrology, and weapon-making. While these revelations may seem beneficial, they lead to widespread corruption and violence, disrupting the divine order. Enoch's narrative paints a world teetering on the brink of chaos, where divine intervention becomes not only necessary, but inevitable. What makes the Book of Enoch so compelling is its theological depth. It doesn't merely recount events, it delves into the nature of sin as a cosmic rebellion, a breach of boundaries between the heavenly and earthly realms. This perspective challenges readers to see sin not as mere personal moral failure, but as part of a larger, interconnected spiritual battle. In doing so, Enoch reframes the human condition, reminding us that our struggles with evil are part of a much larger narrative. The Book of Jubilees, another text preserved in the Ethiopian canon, offers a similarly transformative perspective. Often referred to as the Little Genesis, Jubilees retells the stories of Genesis and Exodus with added detail and a distinct emphasis on sacred time. One of its most striking features is its use of a solar calendar, which diverges from the traditional Jewish lunar calendar. This 364-day calendar structures time into Jubilees, or cycles of 49 years, with each cycle carrying spiritual significance. This alternate way of marking time is more than a technicality. It reflects a theological vision of order and harmony. By adhering to a solar calendar, the Book of Jubilees emphasizes the unchanging rhythm of creation, aligning humanity's worship with the movements of the cosmos. This perspective challenges the dominance of the lunar calendar in Jewish tradition and raises profound questions about how different communities perceive and sanctify time. For modern Christians, the Book of Jubilees offers a fresh lens through which to view sacred history. Its meticulous genealogies and precise chronology underscore the interconnectedness of human history and divine purpose. It invites readers to consider time not just as a sequence of events, but as a divine framework, imbued with meaning and intention. For Ethiopian Christians, the Book of Enoch, the Book of Jubilees, and other texts in their broader canon are not relics of a bygone era. They are living scriptures, integral to their faith and worldview. These writings resonate deeply with the struggles and hopes of humanity, offering insights into the nature of sin, redemption, and divine justice. What makes the Ethiopian Bible so significant is its reminder that Christianity is not a monolithic tradition. It is a mosaic composed of diverse traditions, each contributing unique insights and revelations. By preserving texts excluded from the Western canon, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church challenges the notion of the Bible as a fixed and uniform text. Instead, it reveals Scripture as a dynamic and multifaceted collection, shaped by the cultures and communities that have carried it through history. To ignore the Ethiopian Bible is to ignore a vital part of our collective spiritual heritage. It is to turn away from voices that have much to teach us about the complexity and beauty of faith. For American Christians, accustomed to the relatively narrow scope of the King James Bible, encountering the Ethiopian canon can be both disorienting and liberating. It invites them to step outside their theological comfort zones and embrace a broader, richer vision of Christianity. Imagine holding a book that contains the wisdom of millennia, the voices of prophets, and the stories of saints long forgotten. The Ethiopian Bible is not just a text, it is a portal to a world where faith and history intertwine in profound and unexpected ways. For those raised on the standardized narratives of the King James Bible, encountering the Ethiopian Bible can feel like a spiritual awakening, a call to rediscover the depth and complexity of their faith. One of the most striking features of the Ethiopian Bible is its rawness. Unlike the sanitized and often polished tone of Western scripture, the Ethiopian texts confront readers with the fullness of humanity, its failures, its struggles, and its potential for redemption. They do not shy away from difficult truths or uncomfortable questions. Instead, they embrace the messiness of human history, revealing a God who is deeply involved in the lives of his people. This rawness gives the Ethiopian Bible a unique emotional power. It speaks directly to the human experience, addressing fears, hopes, and longings that transcend time and culture. It reminds readers that faith is not about perfection, but about wrestling with the complexities of life and finding God in the midst of it all.